and welcome back to my channel. I'm currently taking a little break. In case you didn't know, I have just had a baby, but I thought I would do a little update. I don't want to completely not film for long periods of time, but I am just enjoying my time with my son. There's no pressure, but I do miss this. I feel like I have a lot to update you on, and yeah, I thought I could introduce you to my son. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. If you do, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. So I asked over on my Instagram for some questions. All these questions will be what I've been up to over the last couple of weeks, questions about birth, questions about River, questions about what's going on at the moment. So if you're not interested in that, then this isn't the video for you. I have just started filming this video and River is due to have a sleep, and I've just got him in his little bouncer next to me, so you might be able to hear him. There you go. He's such a little chunk now. Last time he was weighed, he'd gained a whole pound since he was born. He was born 6'9", and last time he was weighed he was 7'9". Look at all his hair, by the way. It's so long. I know the boys' hairs do usually fall out, don't they? So you're gonna be bald. But I was not expecting it. I thought he was going to come out a proper ginger or a blonde. I wasn't expecting. I mean, it has got a little twinge to it now. Yeah, so he's nearly 4 weeks old now. Everyone keeps telling me how much he looks like his dad. Don't you? Yeah, your daddy's twin. Don't you, darling? Yeah. Just sitting in his little bouncer here, so you might hear him, but he is likely to go asleep. Obviously I'll move him from his bouncer if he does, but he only really likes to fall asleep in my arms or in somebody's arms. Actually, I'm going to come back in a minute because I feel bad. He's just sitting there awake in the bouncer and I'm just talking to you. Okay, I'm back. We have someone joining us because I put him down twice and he will not stay asleep. I need to finish this video before my boyfriend gets home from work, because as you can imagine, it's a lot later in the day when he's napping. I'm trying to get things done. Anyway, let's answer some questions. So I had a few questions about his name. Was it the name that we originally said that we was gonna use? Because I told you guys, did I even say it on YouTube? I'm not sure if I said it on YouTube or just on TikTok. But when we spoke about baby names, me and my boyfriend always had this one name. And then there was another name that came into the picture when I thought I was pregnant with a girl, and that was River. When we was in, where was we? Cos. The whole time I was trying to persuade him, because at that point we didn't know the gender, and I was like, if it's a girl, I really love the name River. And it was a new one that I just discovered, and everyone told me it was a boy's name, including my boyfriend. So then when we found out it was a boy, I was like, well, you said it was a boy's name. And basically it went from him being like, no, but I didn't give up. So girls, if you have a dream that you want something and your boyfriend's like, no, don't like the name, don't give up. I think just over time it grew on him, and the more people he told and they liked it, I think that made him like it. Do you know what I mean? So no, that wasn't the name that we'd always said that we'd call our son, and it's still a name that we love. And if we was to have any more kids and it was a boy, then we'd probably call him that. So I won't tell you guys what that name is, but yeah, we never fully decided on the name. We said when he's here, it's either going to be this or River. And then when I was being stitched up, like I was still in the operating room, I said, what do you think he looks like? And he said the other name, and I was like, what? I was like, no, he literally looks like River. Because when I envisioned the other name, I don't know, I didn't envision him like this. It was like a couple days later and we just kept trying out both names, and then he was like, no, yeah, he definitely looks like a River now. And also on the name question, has he got a middle name? Yes, he has got a middle name. It's my granddad's name, who is no longer with us. For me, I always wanted to use like a sentimental name as his middle name rather than just like a random name, you know. How are you adjusting to life with your gorgeous boy? Thank you. Life has been an adjustment. The first night we brought him home, I was like, oh my goodness. We had to take it in turns to sleep because it was no joke. Like, he would not settle. And obviously it's such a big adjustment to them. They're now outside the womb and they're all of a sudden in this big world, and it's cold and they're not with their mum. And yeah, so we was like, I stayed awake with him for a bit, and then I went to sleep, my boyfriend stayed awake. I think we ended up doing that for like 2 or 3 nights. We didn't want to get used to that because my boyfriend was going back to work. I feel like now he's nearly 4 weeks old, I feel like I've got to know him. I know what he wants, I know what he's crying for. It's not as intimidating, because at first I was like, oh my god, I was crying all the time, because life after a C-section, oh god, only like really for the first couple of weeks, but because I couldn't really do anything, I found it emotionally really hard, because my boyfriend was just having to do basically everything, because obviously you can't do much. And even still now, like, you can't drive for 6 weeks. You still have to be careful. Even though you may be feeling better, you still need to be wary that you've had like 7 layers cut through and you've got torn muscles, which makes me feel sick. So yeah, I really did struggle with the C-section recovery. Like, I couldn't look at the scar or everything. But yeah, now I am feeling much better. What made your pregnancy high risk, if you're comfortable talking about it? Yeah, I didn't really want to share it too much whilst I was pregnant, because people have too much to say. But yeah, I had multiple things that made me high risk. So first thing that was discovered at 28 weeks was that I had low platelets, which means your blood is thinner than most people's bloods, or it doesn't clot as easy, which I've probably had my whole life. But they didn't have any blood, what is it called, results on my file. Like, I feel like I have only had 1 blood test in my life, but they didn't have any on file for me, so they don't even know if I've always had low platelets. But the signs of it are you bruise easily, which I do. I bruise so easily. Nosebleeds, which I've always suffered with really bad nosebleeds. Sorry, TMI, but like heavy periods, which is weird because I don't actually suffer from heavy periods. But yeah, so I probably have always had it, but it went unnoticed, and I can't imagine it would affect you in your day-to-day life. But obviously it could increase the chances of you bleeding a lot at birth, which scared me a lot, to be honest with you. But it meant I had to go for blood tests all the time. Then I found out at the 36-week scan that I had extra fluid around the womb, or around the baby in the womb. So that also made me high risk. That meant that my uterus was expanding more than usual, which means that you could bleed more at birth. So I was like, great, I've got 2 things that could make me bleed more at birth. I also was extremely swollen. I also then started going in for high blood pressure and protein in my wee. So they thought that I could potentially have preeclampsia, or be getting preeclampsia. The amount of time I was spending in the hospital when they offered me the induction, I was like, yeah, just get the baby out. And I knew that probably it was going to end in a C-section, but I just really didn't care. I feel like the stress at the end of not knowing, I don't know why that's just made me emotional, but like at the end I was just so worried about him that I just wanted him out so that I knew he was here safely. The anxiety between appointments and just not knowing and worrying, I was just like, I don't care, get him out, however he comes out, not bothered. So many of these questions are, how are you doing, how are you doing, how does newborn life compare to what you expect? Well, do you know what, newborn life is definitely harder than I thought it would be. No, not than what I thought it would be, but I just hoped that my baby would just not have any problems and just be like a little happy baby. But he wasn't. I've been to the doctors with him because he had what I thought could, well, really be anything. Colic, silent reflux, cow's milk allergy, things he was experiencing. Could have ticked a few boxes for those different things. He was screaming in pain after being fed. I just found it really difficult because every time he was crying like it, I was. Yeah, so I took him to the doctors and they was like, oh, that's normal for a newborn. You know, they're getting used to their esophagus and, you know, their digestion. I just come away from it feeling deflated. So I changed his milk. He has settled so much. Like, it's not a special milk, I've just changed the brand. So he obviously just didn't like that brand of milk because he's so much more settled now. But yeah, at first I thought, oh my God, I can't deal with the crying. I found it so hard because I was just like, oh, he's in pain and there's just nothing you can do. And I was so worried about everything. I was like, is his umbilical cord infected? Is this wrong? Is this normal? And I was literally Googling so much. But I think that's normal. I think most people do experience that. Also, going back to the feeding, I also had questions about breastfeeding because I was planning on exclusively breastfeeding and that did not last. I'll tell this story really quickly. I feel like I'm rambling a lot, but there was just one day where he just wouldn't latch. And it was a Sunday morning, it was 6 AM, and he screamed the place down and I was crying because he was crying and he wouldn't feed. And I was like, he's hungry because he's giving me all the hunger cues, and he just would not latch. No matter what we done, my boyfriend was trying to help, like, he wouldn't do it. He would just scream and scream and scream. So my boyfriend had to run out and buy formula, and then I was formula feeding and breastfeeding. Eventually he just wouldn't latch. So then I was formula feeding and expressing, and then when my boyfriend went back to work, it was literally a constant cycle of feeding, pumping, cleaning bottles, getting ready for the next feed, like it was just too much. And I just thought, do you know what, combi feeding isn't for me. I had so many issues with breast pumps. Had 3 different breast pumps, and I just thought mentally this is not worth it, because I feel like I'm just on rotation. So yeah, so now I am just formula feeding and I feel so much happier. I don't worry that he's hungry. I feel very content, and he's definitely very content. So yes, that is my feeding journey. What was the first thing I ate after I gave birth? So because I had a C-section, I never got to experience toast in the hospital, because when they were offering me breakfast, they were offering me bread. And I was like, oh, is it like toasted? No, literal bread. I was like, who the hell wants bread? And then after the C-section, the next morning I was like, I'm starving, like I need something to eat. They said you can only eat something little. So they gave me some rich tea biscuits and a cup of tea. Someone said being induced on the 25th of May. Any advice? I would just say, prepare to be there a long time. Just be mindful of that, because if you think, oh, I'm only going to be here 2-3 days, it would probably just make it feel a lot longer. I was mentally prepared to be there for like 5 days. And I was there for 5 days, but I gave birth on day 3 going into 4. And there was periods where I was like, oh, that was quicker than I thought it would be. And I feel like that's what kept me going. Get as much sleep as you can. I mean, I found it really difficult. But once the baby's here, the baby's here. So you want to try and get as much rest as you can before. But like, you can't sleep anyway when you're heavily pregnant. So imagine trying to sleep in a hospital, on a hospital bed with a big bump, uncomfortable, needing a wee all the time. Ugh. But at the end of the day, you're there to meet your baby. I feel like that kind of gets you through. It's so overwhelming, because you're literally like, oh my god, I'm literally doing this to meet my child, which is a really overwhelming feeling. Because when you go into spontaneous labour, it's spontaneous and you kind of just don't really think about it. Not that I did, but you know, I was 39 plus 2 or plus 1, no, yeah, plus 2. I was thinking that I could go into spontaneous labour, which is just a different feeling. I don't know. Like I said, it is what it is. You'll be fine, and I hope it goes well. River is back with me. He will not sleep without me. Why? Oh my god, his eyes are looking extra blue today. You know when they say babies are born, their eyes, they're born with blue eyes? Well, his eyes were like black. I'm gonna try and wrap the video up. I mean, most of the questions are how am I adjusting and how am I feeling? But my boyfriend's due home in a minute, so I wanna wrap this up before he gets home. So I'll just answer a couple more questions. How has the Mr. been? AKA my boyfriend, I assume. So he has been so good, and honestly, after my C-section, like every time he was just doing everything, I would just cry. It's a lot of pressure, and then the fact that he's also had to worry about me, how I'm feeling, and doing all my blood thinner injections and things like that. He was just such good help and such good support. Yeah, I really couldn't have done it without him. And he's now gone back to work, and he originally was only going to have 2 weeks off, but obviously the first week I was mainly in hospital, and then by the time he was supposed to go back, that's when he was really unsettled, like when I mentioned earlier about him being in pain after feeding. So he decided to have another week off, so I kind of had an extra week to adjust mentally to him going back. But yeah, when he was originally going to go back after 2 weeks, I was emotionally unstable, should we say. But by the time he did go back, I felt a lot more comfortable. Plus I've had my mum here, I've had friends over, so yeah, I've barely been on my own really. And then also I had a lot of questions about when I'm coming back, what I'll be posting. So I will probably properly start posting again from June, which is very soon, and it'll probably be 1 video a week, either on a Thursday or a Sunday like they used to be. I guess I'll just keep you updated on my Instagram as always, because you just never know. Like today, he is just so unsettled. Obviously I managed to film the video but I've got him in my arms and I'm rocking and I'm tapping, so actually that's probably quite annoying for you guys watching, and I've only just really thought of that. Brilliant. What else? Oh yeah, and asking about like the content I'll be posting. It will be the same as the content that I've posted before. It's not going to be a family channel or anything like that. I'm sure I'll do like family vlogs along the way, more like my usual content, maybe more vlogs, although I don't know how I'd vlog with a child. Who knows? Who knows? I feel like I've answered the main questions that I've had. I thought I'd give you a little update, and as I said, I really do miss filming when I'm not filming. I was in the mood to film today and update you guys, but for now I'm gonna love you and leave you. As I said, June will be when I'm back posting regular content from me and River. Oh god, he's opening his eyes again. We are off, so please don't forget to like the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in June.